Caitlin Clark had another monster game. She had 28 points, 12 assists, and a 193 win over the Dallas Wings today that pushed the Indiana Fever over 500 for the first time in 5 years.
One thing about women, they will sever a relationship quick. But the fact that the relationship was severed because there was a difference in opinion, that's unfortunate.
You know, I have a lot of stuff, so I might mispronounce someone. I'm trying to correct it.
Right.
If somebody tries to correct me and I sever a relationship or I'm no longer on speaking terms, we never had a friendship to begin with.
Right.
Caitlin Clark is a polarizing figure. People gravitate towards her. It's okay. Caitlin Clark's success doesn't diminish what Sheryl Swoopes accomplished. Caitlin Clark's arrival doesn't diminish anything that they've done. I don't get this old guard. People wasn't phonetic. It wasn't buzzing. The WNBA, and people didn't talk about it like they do. Instead of being upset about it, I'm a ride the wave.
Right.
Look, I love Sheryl Swoopes, but I don't think Nancy said anything that's wrong. Sheryl, you just got, you know, your facts are off.
Sheryl Swoopes was discussing the Indiana Fever on a podcast.
Okay.
And she was like, in the Fever, they've just been tremendous. And she started naming players. And she named like every player except Caitlin Clark. Okay. She wouldn't mention her name.
Yeah. True hater. Yeah.
Like real hater. So Stephen A. Smith called her out on it.
Uh-oh.
Stephen A. Smith was like, Sheryl Swoopes, like you have to know it's crazy for you to discuss the Indiana Fever without mentioning Caitlin Clark. Mm-hmm. And when you don't mention Caitlin Clark, it is so clear that you're doing it intentionally because you're a real hater. He said, Sheryl Swoopes, you know more about basketball than me. You know more about basketball than most men. You know the reason the Indiana Fever have turned things around. Sure, everybody played a role, I guess. But like the centerpiece of the whole thing is Caitlin Clark. And you went out of your way not to even mention her name. You're a real hater. That's what he said. And Sheryl Swoopes, she popped up. She said, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about on your podcast. I'll talk about whatever I want to talk about on my podcast. And if you want to talk to my face, then talk to my face.
I think Angel will eventually be a good pro. I don't think Angel will come into the league immediately and dominate the way people think she will. And I say that for people who have never watched a WNBA game. It's good. Like there's talent. Like these women can play. And because there are very few roster spots. Like it's a real job. So people look at new players coming in, whether that's out of college, players who've been overseas, and they look at that and say, oh, you trying to come take my job. Like, nah, it's not going to be that easy. So will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. Not going to happen.
Okay. Not on the right team?
You know, I've known Sheryl since she was in college. I helped do her shoe deal with Nike in 1993, took her to her first ESPYs. I've known Sheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. And I got off the treadmill and I called her as a friend. And I said, you know, you can say whatever you want. You can have your own opinion about anybody, but you do have to get the statistics right. I mean, facts matter. And if you just get ahead of this and just say, hey, I made a mistake on my numbers, then this thing is over and everybody respects you for your opinion. You know, it's okay to have difference of opinions. Well, she got upset with me on the phone. And I was like, Sheryl, you know, I'm not doing anything to hurt you. I'm just sharing. We're talking. And so our relationship it pretty much is not happening at this point. I tried to talk to her at the Final Four. Right. She didn't want to talk to me.
Right.
Yeah, she playing good ball now.
Good. I hate to see if she playing great. She's a good player, Ocho. Look, people giving her credit, and I get it. Don't be resentful of it. Embrace it.
Indiana Fever rookie Caitlin Clark has become one of the most polarizing figures in the WNBA. While her incredible performances on the court have brought unprecedented attention to the league, she's also stirred up significant debate among sports media and has amassed a dreadful amount of haters, all for no reason. Well, thank goodness, Shannon Sharpe recently came to her rescue against a flood of haters. But what did Sharpe really say? Join us till the end of the video to find out. WNBA analysts and pundits seem to be split right down the middle, either passionately praising Caitlin Clark or harshly criticizing her, with little room for neutral opinions. As her popularity skyrockets, it feels like her critics have become even louder, overshadowing the praise she continues to receive. However, After Clark's recent standout game, in which she scored 28 points, dished out 12 assists, and grabbed 4 rebounds in a 193 win over the Dallas Wings, sports commentator Shannon Sharpe felt compelled to defend her. On a recent episode of his podcast, Nightcap, Sharpe made it clear he wasn't going to sit quietly while Clark's critics kept voicing their displeasure. He directly addressed those who had been quick to criticize the young star, particularly focusing on the silence from those who had been vocal early on. There was a lot of women on ESPN that had a lot to say early about this. They've gone quiet now, Sharpe remarked. Y'all quiet now. I ain't going to call your name, but you know who you are. Y'all had a lot to say early, and if you think I'm talking to you, I am. Sharpe's pointed words didn't stop there. He hinted that some of Clark's harshest critics had played or coached the game themselves, suggesting they should stand by the strong opinions they initially voiced. Make no mistake about it, I'm talking to you. You know who you are. One of y'all were a former coach. I can get more specific. Some of you played the game. I want y'all to own what you said earlier when you were talking. Don't get mad now, he added. Though Sharpe didn't directly mention any names, there are a few figures in sports media who seem to fit the bill. Among them are Sheryl Swoopes, Monica McNutt, Adria Carter, and Tim Legler, each of whom has, at some point, voiced doubts about Clark's rise to stardom on ESPN platforms. Lately, Swoopes has been one of Clark's most vocal detractors. Her criticisms of the rookie have sparked widespread debate on social media, with fans of Clark pushing back hard. This online backlash reportedly led to Swoopes being pulled from the Fever Wings game broadcast. Sheryl Swoopes' Caitlin Clark comments explained. Sheryl Swoopes is known for her role as a color commentator for select Dallas Wings games, but was noticeably absent from the September 1st broadcast between Dallas and Indiana. The Basketball Hall of Famer had recently found herself at the heart of a social media controversy after she unjustly took a swipe at Indiana Fever rookie star Caitlin Clark, and many believe the decision to remove Swoopes was linked to her earlier social media comments regarding a flagrant foul Clark received from Chicago Sky guard Diamond DeShields. On that particular broadcast, Hall of Famer Nancy Lieberman stepped in to replace Swoopes. Lieberman took the opportunity not only to praise Clark's performance, but also appeared to take a subtle jab at Swoopes during her commentary. What began as a simple substitution soon escalated into a public feud, as Lieberman later addressed Swoopes directly on Stephen A. Smith's show, fueling the already brooding tension between the two legendary basketball players. Swoopes, not one to shy away from confrontation, responded by using social media to directly engage with Lieberman and clarify her views on Clark. The back and forth between these two basketball icons has kept fans and analysts buzzing as both continue to express their strong opinions. So what did Sheryl Swoopes actually say about Caitlin Clark? Well, the initial spark of this controversy dates back to February, when Swoopes appeared on Gilbert Arenas' podcast, Gil's Arena. During the interview, Swoopes made it clear that she believed Caitlin Clark might struggle when adjusting to the WNBA, a statement that certainly drew some attention. However, it was Swoopes' remarks about Clark's college career that really set things in motion. Swoopes made a misinformed claim regarding Clark's eligibility and her potential to become the NCAA's all-time leading scorer. She incorrectly stated that Clark had an additional year of play due to the COVID-19 pandemic and that this extra time gave her an unfair advantage over Kelsey Plum, the previous record holder. If Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years, Swoopes said. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So, is it truly a broken record? I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, that'll go in the record books. And I don't think it should be. Swoopes' comments were factually inaccurate, as Clark broke the record in just 4 years, the same time frame as Plum. Clark opted not to use her extra year of eligibility and instead declared for the 2024 WNBA draft, where she was selected as the #1 overall pick. Swoopes' statements, though opinion-based, created a wave of criticism that followed her throughout the season. In light of the backlash, however, Swoopes decided to clear the air. She disclosed that she had privately reached out to Clark back in February, admitting her mistake and offering a sincere apology. I wanted to personally reach out to you and say I made a mistake on what year this is for you, Swoopes wrote. COVID year has me all confused. LOL. I also have nothing but respect for you and your game and appreciate your skill. Congrats on everything you have accomplished thus far. Be blessed. Clark, ever the professional, responded warmly to Swoops' apology. In a respectful exchange, Clark thanked Swoops for being an inspiration and admired the Hall of Famer for her impact on the game. The two athletes shared compliments, signaling that at least between them, there was no bad blood. Swoops' analysis and criticism of Clark. Despite the apology and the seemingly cordial relationship between Clark and Swoops, the Hall of Famer's critiques of Clark's game didn't end there. Swoops has continued to provide commentary on Clark's performances with the Fever, as well as those of other WNBA stars like Angel Reese of the Chicago Sky. In late July, Swoops made headlines again when she picked Reese as her choice for Rookie of the Year, a decision that some interpreted as another slight against Clark. However, the full context of Swoops' podcast comments revealed that while she favored Reese at that time, she was also complimentary of Clark's talents and contributions to the game. Unfortunately, the controversy was reignited when a shortened segment of Swoops' podcast appearance made the rounds on social media, with many taking her comments out of context. As is often the case, the nuance of her analysis was lost in the clipped version that circulated, leading to more criticism. The most recent chapter in this saga came this September when Swoops was removed from the Dallas, Indiana broadcast. While there was no official reason given, many speculated that it was a reaction to her social media commentary on the flagrant foul Clark received from DeShields. Fans and analysts were quick to draw a connection between Swoops' removal and her controversial opinions about Clark, but it remains to be known what the reason for Swoops' removal truly was. So why is Sheryl Swoops feuding with Nancy Lieberman? Sheryl Swoops and Nancy Lieberman, two Hall of Famers in women's basketball, are currently embroiled in a public feud centered around a controversial moment involving Indiana Fever rookie Caitlin Clark. The conflict gained traction after Chicago Sky guard Diamond DeShields committed a flagrant foul on Clark during a game, sparking heated reactions on social media. Following the incident, Swoops took to X, formerly Twitter, to express support for DeShields, whose playing career was nearly derailed in 2019 when a tumor was found on her spine. Swoops tweeted, "Head up, kid. Hate will not win. You are covered and ain't nothing these evil people can do about that. All love for you." Her message appeared to be directed at DeShields, who had been receiving harsh criticism and hateful comments after the foul on Clark. Some fans, however, interpreted Swoops' tweet as a subtle dig at Clark and her supporters. Shortly after the tweet, Swoops was noticeably absent from the Dallas, Indiana game broadcast, leading to speculation that her removal was related to her comments about DeShields. Nancy Lieberman took over Swoops' spot on the broadcast and used the opportunity to praise Clark and defend her from detractors. During the broadcast, Lieberman said, "What Caitlin Clark has done for the game is generational. As a baller to a baller, I just want to say thank you to you, Caitlin Clark, for just lifting our game up, you and so many great players. What you're doing, you're going to make all of these women multimillionaires one day, like Tiger Woods did, like Michael Jordan did, and we shouldn't hate on her, we should celebrate her, not tolerate her." While Lieberman did not directly mention Swoops, many speculated that her comments were aimed at Swoops' earlier critique of Clark. Lieberman further addressed the situation during an appearance on Stephen A. Smith's show, where she recounted a conversation she had with Swoops in February regarding Clark's eligibility. According to Lieberman, the two had discussed Swoops' incorrect claim about Clark having an extra year of eligibility due to the COVID-19 pandemic. "She got upset with me on the phone, and I was like, 'Sheryl, I'm not doing anything to hurt you, I'm just sharing,'" Lieberman recalled. She added, "Our relationship pretty much is not happening at this point. I tried to talk to her at the Final Four, she wouldn't talk to me. My life's going to be good, or great, with or without Sheryl Swoops in my life. I would rather have her in it." In response, Swoops took to social media once again, echoing part of Lieberman's comments while suggesting that Lieberman and Smith might have an agenda. She also released a screenshot of a private message she had sent to Caitlin Clark earlier in the year, in which she apologized for her misstatement about Clark's eligibility and expressed admiration for the young star's skills. The feud between Swoops and Lieberman has drawn the attention of WNBA fans, with many following the evolving drama on social media. As the two legends continue to express their opinions, The saga has brought even more attention to Caitlin Clark and her growing influence in the league, and that's a win for her. So what do you think about this whole drama? Let us know in the comments section below.